Much appreciated.
Wow, okay. I've been muted the whole time, sorry. Welcome, officially, welcome for the second time. Thank you, IR6, for telling me I was muted. I would have gone on talking the whole time.
Oh,
Anyway, as I was saying, we're going to be discussing Rainbow Six Siege with an African perspective in mind. And African in this context refers to Kenya and South Africa just because these are two countries I'm most familiar with. And as we'll see later on in the stream, other countries have been getting more involved in the game. So, welcome. My guests today are MojAE. He's a friend of the channel. He is essentially my sponsor. Is the reason I'm doing this. Is the reason I'm able to play Siege and to actually do this whole YouTube thing. So a big thank you to him. MojAE, welcome.
thank you. That is quite the introduction.
All right. We'll be joined by oLympiC as well. Hi, oLympiC. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Glad to be on here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to have you on. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Kardecus. How are you doing?
Oh, man. Good yourself.
Ooh, it sounds like your mic is still bugged out. You sound like a robot.
This is the norm.
Oh, wow.
I need a new headset.
Feels bad, man, but hey, you work with what you have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so why don't you guys kind of introduce yourselves, since I feel like everyone here kind of knows who MojAE and I are. So why don't we kind of get to know who oLympiC and Kardecus are? I'll start with the oLympiC.
I am the Rocket League captain for the Team Meraki Gaming, and I also that's mainly it. I just play games for fun, try and turn it into something else, you know.
Awesome. What games do you play mostly?
I've been playing Rocket League for about 5 years now. I've started getting into Siege and the Siege scene,
Mm-hmm.
but mainly Rocket League, Overwatch, just like casual games, really.
Cool stuff. Awesome. Kardecus, how about you?
Alright, well, I am the esports division head of Titan Gaming. I'm also director of Titan Gaming. I've been in Rainbow Six Siege for about 2 years now. And like oLympiC, I play a lot of casual games on the side.
Okay, great. So, I'll just let everyone know right now, everyone who's watching, all the topics we're going to discuss are going to be in the description below, as well as all the relevant links to what we'll mention. So, if you want to kind of have an overview of what we'll be talking about, you can do so by checking out the description. It's right below the subscribe button. So, MojAE. Let's get right into it. How important is rank and kill death ratio in esports?
I think I kind of got some of the, let me say, things that actually make a team important, and I feel like I don't know if it's specifically in Rainbow Six, but I've been told also in other games like Rocket League. I think I have a friend in Rocket League who's told me the same thing, that people take your rank too seriously,
Mm-hmm.
irrespective of how you got that rank or how you made it there,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. So I feel like it's a bit overrated, especially considering that there are other things that are also important within a team. That's things like teamwork. That's one thing. How much impact are you making for your teammates to be able to achieve the main objective? So that's now the main subject probably of what we're discussing now today. So,
yeah. The whole reason the four of us are together is because, okay, Moji, let's give people an overview of what happened this week. So, and I'll let you explain this part. Just for those who might not be aware, what happened with the Simba Ultimate is that we were looking for a team, right? Yeah, so why don't you tell us about how that led us to where we are today?
Okay. We had an issue with Simba where we couldn't find a full squad. So we just organized with the remaining roster that we should try and find another team, or maybe try and find other guys who are LFT,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, or LFO, whichever is, yeah. So at that time, I spoke to some of the managers at Simba, and they said because we haven't been having like a predominant roster at the time, then we are free to look for a new team or whatnot. So they essentially just released us,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where now our crusade began. We started looking for organizations
Yeah.
that can take us, or clans that can take us at the time.
Yeah.
So as I don't know, should I name the orgs? I feel like but anyway, whatever. If they'll catch feelings, that's their problem. The thing is, we started like asking like these other orgs that are taking people to consider us for for tryouts and whatnot, because we know that's the first thing that usually happens when you're joining a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we started with, of course, the guys that we got into a very heated conversation with. That is Food. For those of you who don't know Food, it's fight until you die. I think we've had also other orgs that we or other clans that we wanted to enter, but I think a good number of them were cordial enough just to tell us that they are, recruiting other players, so they're going to consider us once they've done with the tryouts and whatnot. So they were very cordial about it, so that was easy. So I spoke to Eon, because Eon was the first guy I was introduced to, and apparently, okay, Eon was very nice at the beginning, of course, because we were like, okay, he's monitoring the new guys, wants to see how they'll try out. If they don't perform as well as they should, they'll look at our stats and consider us. So that was the main thing, the stats. That's what they were looking at. And this being, I don't know if it's a necessary evil, but it is what it is. We just brushed it off and we said, okay, fine, just go and look at the stats and, do your thing, because you're the big guy at the clan or the organization. I think was it 1 or 2 weeks?
I think it was about a week.
A week, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I know a number of friends that were actually doing tryouts in food, and I was like, okay, fine. I think we'll just wait to hear it out and see what happens. And I think we never got any answers. I think the only thing that happened was the announcement on like the. I got it from the R6 Africa guys, because they're the ones that told me, oh, by the way, food has already announced the guys that they've taken.
Yeah.
Have you seen our Twitter? So I was like, okay, I'm going to check the Twitter. I'm seeing the announcements. I'm like, oh, okay, they already have a team. Not even like a team, but like 2 rosters. So I was like, okay, they have 2 rosters. That's an interesting one. I don't know what they were targeting, but that's where now the conversation began. I think, I don't know if it was it you or who? Someone highlighted that thing about why teams are now, why rank is such an important thing.
Yeah, it was me. So the whole that was the backstory. That's what was going on behind the scenes. So what happened is, once they had announced their roster, or I don't know if it was before, but Ian from Food was also communicating with me. He told me, hey, we looked over your submission and there were so many people, there were a lot of things to go through, and I completely understand why it took long, because I can imagine that there are a lot of people who are hungry to play for an organization and to play for a team. So he said your stats didn't meet
their criteria,
our criteria, or something along those lines. And I tweeted like part of that conversation, saying, as a support player, it's the first tweet in the description. As a support player, it's tough to to join any of these teams, because how can I show people that my skills as an IGL, my game sense, my intuition of the game is better than what my stats may suggest? So that's where the whole conversation began, and that's where Kardecus and oLympiC were sharing their thoughts. So I'd like to now take the conversation to their side. oLympiC, what? I don't know if your thoughts have changed, because you are wholeheartedly agreeing that kill death ratio and rank are not the complete picture. Is that so?
In some games, you can use ranked for your ranked thing for teams, because for Rocket League, for example, you can see if someone's good just from the rank, but you can't use it to full effect for trying to set up a team, because you don't know if they've been boosted, or if they say, in Siege, someone could buy an account that's diamond or plat or whatever. And I feel like if an organization's using ranked and KD as a benchmark to try and set a team up, I just find that as a very bad way to try and set up a team. And one good way to try and set up a team is trying to use your team captain of said roster to play around with a trialee or to play around with a team and see if there's chemistry, teamwork, if they are living up to their rank or whatever, and just seeing, because you can't use stats as a whole benchmark.
Yeah, definitely. And Kardecus having some admin experience in esports, what are your thoughts on this whole topic?
Honestly, rank and KD are relatively important. They're not, but they're not essential. You know, like especially in games like Rainbow Six Siege, which are so hyper competitive and so intrinsic on the mechanics and the strategy and the tactical skill and the coordination of the team, that we can't just say, look at our players and say, okay, fine, you're a platinum, you're clearly a great player, because you know, like oLympiC said, like sometimes it's boosted, sometimes there isn't actually what it looks like. You know, like there's so many different factors that have to come into consideration with players. You know, we can't just say, okay, cool, you've got a 2.0 KD, clearly you're the best guy around, but it turns out that player's actually not that great with other people, or he's not that great with that team, because people didn't consider maybe how was his game sense, how was his map coordination, how will he call us, and most importantly, does he work with the team? You know, people just say, oh, by the way, like, oh, you're a diamond, you're clearly the best player around, but then they don't actually see, okay, but is he good with other people? Can he, like, does he fill these other criteria that are actually quite important in the esports community?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And it goes to one of the bullet points I'd written down under this topic is that, as you said, there's so much about Siege, and I'm sure it applies to other esports as well. There's so much about Siege that is qualitative as opposed to quantitative. And what that simply means is that the person who's giving you the best callouts, that factor, that part of his gameplay, his game style will not be captured in his stats whatsoever. As currently Siege stands, there's no way to tell if you just look at the stats. The game does not capture whether someone was a good IGL, whether someone has good coordination, communication, can keep a cool head, whether that person has a lot of chemistry with his teammates. And unfortunately, I feel like the metric these orgs are using it's quantitative stuff. It's just how many headshots did you click, what was your rank last season, how many times did you die, and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I feel like, and James, you can tell me what you think here, I feel like a lot of South African teams are using KD alone and rank alone to determine whether you're good enough for a team. And what I would like to see is, you know, as we've said, a tryout season where the team that you're applying to can pick you and see if you play well with them.
Okay. Actually, that's very true. You just reminded me, because I think we have the same issue also in CS:GO. You'll see a point where the game is very dynamic. A person has an extremely high rank. I think probably the highest rank in the game, which is is it a global elite? But the problem is now come to like on the performance part. They perform very abysmally, which raises a lot of questions. I'm inside the CS:GO group actually, where we have this kind of chats, and a lot of people actually say like the matchmaking for CS:GO is absolutely horrible. Like you get matched with the wrong ranks, like the wrong people, like everything is just so poorly done that you wonder, like, do these ranks really matter if you get matched with the wrong people? That's one thing. But at the same time, also, if you get matched with the wrong people, if you're basically like a level lower than them, or maybe even levels lower, but still outperform them, then does it does it give credibility to these ranks? Like, are they worth it at the end of the day? So
and
it really raises a lot of questions.
And that's the thing as well. People, I feel like in South Africa, take their siege rank so seriously is insane. There are people who will be boosted during their placements and then stop playing for that season and just go casual only because they don't want to
Exactly.
lose their plat or their
Or they go to
diamond
or they go to
whatever.
Phoenix.
Yeah. So, Kardecus, I'd like to know what you think on whether a tryout season, or maybe I should say a tryout period, should become a regular thing in ZA.
Honestly, I think so. I mean, at Titan Gaming, that's exactly what we do. Is we do your initial tryouts, we see how you do. If we initially look good, we say, cool, let's see how you do in a month with the team. You know, if you perform well, awesome. Here's your contract. Let's get started. You know, I mean, like recently we had that happen was we had a player join one of our teams, and he's a great guy, and he's a fantastic player, but he just wasn't mixing well with the team. So, and he's like, okay, look at the interview chart, like, look, like this isn't working out. Like, you're a fantastic player, we'll give you a recommendation, but you know, it just trial build just didn't work out for you. You know.
Yeah, definitely. oLympiC, you play Rocket League mostly, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? The mentality around rank in Rocket League.
So if I try and trial a person, always one of the first things I ask is what's your rank? And I know earlier I was saying that that's not a good benchmark, but for something like Rocket League, it's really hard for someone to get boosted or for someone to buy an account. So you use their rank as a sort of base to see how they will do, like to see if they've got good mechanical skill or good game sense, and then you take them into like a scrimmage against another team to see if they've got good communication, good game sense, they vibe with the team, and then from there on, I talk with the teammates and see what they think of him or her, and then from that decision. And from further, I ask past teams or people who have played with the person, and I find out, will this guy be a good fit? Is he toxic? Is he like the community? And from that, I decide to make my decision.
Okay, great stuff. I'm going to read a few of the messages the people in the chat have sent. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined in, by the way. I really appreciate it. J. Wanats Simbine, I hope I've not butchered your name. He says, I have 1.2 KD, a 1.2 win-loss ratio, but I feel like I'm trash at Siege. But my callouts are golden. Bro, I am right there in that boat with you. It got to the point where I was experiencing imposter syndrome, because I was thinking to myself, and MojAE can attest to this, the last season, it was hell on earth playing ranked in ZA. It was crazy because the season before, okay, we are in Operation Shadow Legacy, which we'll talk about later in the stream. Previously it was Operation, what was it? Was it Shifting Tides? Was that the previous one we were in?
Yes. Yeah.
The one before that, what was it called?
Let me check. Who was dropped at the time?
Before Shifting Tides, that was Embaraz was
Void Edge. I remember. Yes, it was Void Edge.
Steel Wave.
It was Void Edge. So in Operation Void Edge, we got ranked somewhere in gold.
Yes.
MojAE,
Yes.
yeah? And
Actually,
then,
that was the trend. We used, like, almost all the seasons we used to like rank in gold. Gold.
Yeah, and then sorry?
Then Shifting Tides happened.
Yeah. Shifting Tides, we got to the point where we were essentially hard stuck in silver, and I was asking myself, is it that I'm a bad player? What is it that I'm not doing? What is it with my win-loss ratio that's got me stuck in silver? And I was just, I couldn't find an answer. So when when the people in that conversation on Twitter were saying that, rank means a lot,
Yeah.
there are a couple of things that are going through my head. The first one is that, my goodness, I've forgotten it. Okay, my first one was that the account that I'm playing on, I've had it for 5 years. And when the reason the stats are the way they are is because back in the day, back in like year 1 and year 2, I was the only Kenyan more or less playing ranked, and I used to solo queue, and I was playing on EU servers. So can you imagine all those factors put together? And I was still consistently hitting gold, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that experience is what tanked my stats so much, and it's so difficult to bring them back up. I don't know, man. But at the same time, I'm considerate of food, because like I said, I can imagine a lot of people applied, and if they were to do tryouts, maybe it would take them way too long. But I don't know, man. I'm right there with you, Jay. Okay.
I think one thing I should point out, I
Yeah.
think Jay is, if I'm not wrong, I'm a very good friend of Jay. Jay is the one person who actually should be here on this podcast, because he has so many things to talk about. I got some really good points from him. He made a long post on Facebook. I think I'll draw it up in the course of like the podcast, of what he said about ZA ranked, and also like the esports competitions for Rainbow Six, and they bear so much weight that it really got me thinking, like, why isn't everyone thinking exactly like this? Because this is the ideal, but it's not like this. Like, this is not what's on the ground. It's very different. So let me draw that up. Actually.
Okay, great. While MojAE is looking for that post, I'll continue to read some of these comments by Ducky. He says, "Can I just say my performance doesn't reflect my stats?" He says, "A 1.2 KD, 1.2 win-loss in gold and silver means a lot different than a 1.2 and a 1.2 in diamond." What do you think, oLympiC?
To be honest, with the siege scene, I'm not that quite familiar with, but I feel like in any game that's quite true, because with your KD and your win loss in a lower rank, I feel like that's a lot more substantial than if you're on diamond, where you play more games, you get more kills. It's just a lot different in higher rank than lower rank, because higher rank is a lot more there's a lot more pressure on it, would you say?
Kardecus, anything?
Yeah, honestly, I agree with oLympiC. It's quite a fine line, because at the end of the day, if you were to look at, let's say, a bronze player and they're sitting at a 1.2 KD, like, that's fantastic. Why is he in bronze, you know? But then you look at the diamond, he's also 1.2, and you think, okay, that makes sense. He's a diamond. But like I used to earlier, like, it also depends on a lot of factors.
It does.
Like at the end of the day, like, maybe he's a bronze, he's actually the potential to be a platinum player, but the people he's playing with or the games he's having just aren't reflecting. But his KD is still great, or his win-loss is still fantastic, Like, he's winning the games, but he's not getting the kills, or he's getting the kills, but he's not winning the games. It really depends, But at the end of the day, like, rank and KD do serve as a relative benchmark. So I do agree, like, at the end of the day, like, 1.2 diamond is definitely doing something right compared to the 1.2 bronze, Like, it's why one's in diamond, the one's in bronze at the end of the day. And that's probably boils down to quite a few factors, and namely is probably your genuine skill level, but also the people that you're with. Like, squads are so important with these ranks. I mean, like I said, you can be a 1.2 bronze, but like the worst team you could ever be with all like 0.5 KD, 0.2, 0.9. I mean, at the end of the day, like, as great as statistics and math are to explain a lot of things, we've got to look at a lot more factors than just the qualitative data. We've actually got to look into and not just the quantitative data, the qualitative. And we got to look at like, okay, why is he doing so well? Why is he performing at a 1.2 at a diamond level? What's different from the bronze?
For sure. oLympiC had you've sent me something in my DMs on Discord, and I don't want to open them because they'll go live on the stream. So, is it something you wanted to tell me in private? oLympiC? Hello?
I think he's off.
Maybe you went AFK.
Okay. I found the I don't know if it's a rant or what. The one yeah. The one Jay wrote. So I think I'll share it with you guys. I'll also pass to you the link just in case someone wants to look at it.
Okay.
So he's sharing his experience based on the PS4, and his analysis is strictly for that platform specifically. First of all, rank in this region doesn't matter, even less than other regions, because for you to get diamond or champion or plat 1, literally you have to boost, because when you get past plat 2 you can't find matches. If you find, there isn't a big pool of players to measure the skill against, because they're mostly competitive players, so you end up giving or taking elo against the same players over and over again. Which makes sense.
Totally. And this takes me back to what we were discussing last week, where we said the player base in the South African servers is so small, and at the same time there's so many good players, so you'll end up being put in games against people who are just so much better than you.
Yes.
And then you lose a match, and then you're like, what? The way these guys play, he doesn't deserve to be in our elo level.
Then he continues further. There's also a lot of segregation between good players, average players, and bad players in this region. Mostly because some of the people are not willing to spend time with the bad players due to the fact that it reduces their chance of winning this, and they prefer not to play with certain people due to their skill level. So yeah.
Just to add on to what he's saying is about the bad players. When I want to say this for all of us, but when we were all down, like in one of the lower ranks, I found it the easiest to improve is when you're playing with or playing against higher leveled players.
I mean, that's where the term unbounce comes from.
Yeah. And there's just not a lot of people nowadays who are willing to do that.
Yes.
Just to try and improve the community.
Yes. Very true. I think at Olympus, that's where now one of the things that actually gave me the motivation and inspiration to actually now start looking for players that are not on the server, or probably they are, but they just play on a casual basis, but they would really like to get better at the game. And that's how I think we met the players from Uganda.
Oh yeah, that leads me nicely into what we're going to talk about.
Yes.
So we'd kind of mentioned the rise and fall of the Simba Ultimate Siege team.
Yes.
And basically, the story is we couldn't find enough people. We couldn't find 5 people who want to play Siege competitively in Kenya. It's crazy. I think
it was hard. Yeah.
People here are more on the casual side of the game.
Yeah.
And in our escapades looking for people from South Africa, I feel like we just weren't successful, or we weren't finding teams that want to accommodate us. So that's how we got picked up by Tex Clan. Tex stands for Tactical Execution, and they are a squad from Uganda.
Yeah, so that's how we met them. I think they were a group of like 5 guys, but apparently because of we had like a scrim which didn't go well in their favor, so like some guys dropped out, but there are like other guys who are still willing to push. Like you could see they're not that well skilled, but they still put so many hours into playing the game that they really try to get better. So that gives you that motivation. Okay, these guys are putting in the hours, then why don't I lend a hand? So that's how now we started working with them.
Yeah, and just talking about the number of hours put into the game. I've invested about 900 or so hours playing Siege. In that time, I have picked up so much knowledge, angles, game sense, callouts, and most recently, I feel like I've been doing very well as an IGL. But how should I take this sentence? The direction I wanted to go is, I feel like I just need a team that would take me on so that I can fully showcase my skills. Because I fully admit I'm not the craziest with mechanics. I don't have sick aim that's like Bolo level, but I more than make up for it in IGLing and in other aspects. So there's been a passion in me. I've just been wanting so hard to find a team that would be willing to, take me on so that I can prosper.
True.
I totally agree with you there. Like at the end of the day, the South African community has become so stubborn in who we want to actually participate with and who we do not. I mean, a lot of the high ranked teams, like they'll deny, like let's get the bronze team or the gold team or the low platinum team because they aren't up to scratch with them. That's such a problem nowadays. It's because we're looking at this from such an individualistic perspective instead of a community perspective. It's okay, cool. These guys want to grow. These guys want to showcase their RGLing. They want to get better. Let's play them to prove that they can do it. That they can take tips from us. That they can actually present their ability in the community.
For sure. And I like a point that MojAE raised. He said that it would be better for us to team up with the squad that was already existing on Tex so that we can grow them as well, because like he said, they're not the best in the game, and we have so much to share and to teach them. In so doing, we can learn from each other instead of locking them out from the scene and just only looking at South Africa, because as Kardecus said, they were kind of stubborn, and it has been kind of difficult to integrate them into our team. Okay, I'll read a couple of more messages before we go on. Ducky, only 900 and you've been playing for 5 years? Okay, so between year 2 and year 5 I took a break. So I left when it was Operation Parabellum. I came back when it was Void Edge, so I wasn't playing at all during that time. And that leads me to something else. During the times when I was playing ranked back in year 2, I was playing on a laptop that had like 45 FPS. I didn't have a mouse smart. I didn't have good internet. I had 200 and something ping to EU. So when I look back at my ranks from those days, I take it as an achievement that I was able to make it to gold. And of course, there were times when I was in copper. It was insane, and I think that those times, like I said, is what tanked my stats. Aldo Bellingham, hi Aldo, says, should Meraki get a full South African team? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not in the administration of Meraki. I don't know what their selection process is like. But I feel like teams should open up their borders to other countries, and hopefully you guys agree with me, because there have been a couple of tournaments where it's been like exclusively SA, and MojAE has always been that guy who's like, Africa is bigger than SA. Let's include Mauritius. Let's include Kenya. Yeah, Kardecus, you agree?
Oh, 100%. Like that's my bread and butter. Like that's Titan Gaming's whole motivation. Is we want to have the entire African continent in one community. Like we want the Mauritius, we want the Kenyans, we want the Ghanans. I mean, I had a Tanzanian dude in one of my teams, and he was such an awesome guy to have around. It was us to actually have people that weren't South African actually come into the esports community in South Africa and actually just present different cultures and different ways of life and just different ways of thinking and just showing that just being South African sports and African sports community, not them just a casual player.
Like, back to what Aldo said about the South African team, Meraki has a whole full Mauritius French team.
Wow.
Yes.
Quite
yes.
amazing. But also, I feel like they get a lot of flack in the scene because a lot of people say their ping is an advantage or yada yada. And I just find like that's such a wrong mindset to take into the community because, yes, their ping, they might have an advantage ping-wise, but I feel like they're one of the only full Mauritius squads in the country, or in the scene, basically.
That is interesting. I didn't know there was a full Mauritian squad.
Yeah, there is actually.
What's the what ping do they get to ZA servers?
I have an idea. Hopefully Aldo or one of the Meraki guys can put in the chat just to let us know, but I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Aldo Bellingham says we are always open to the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, that's great to know. That's awesome. The challenge we're getting is that for a team to be recognized as South African, to participate in South African events, majority of the team had to be South African residents. So if it's a siege team, 3 of them have to be South African, and then 2 of us should be, from wherever, Kenya. And the thing is, I felt like there are, let's say, 3-4 of us from Kenya who are really good together, and we're looking for a team. And I do want to leave 1 person or 2 people out behind when we look for a team. I feel like that would be kind of, I don't know, locking out, my fellow brethren, my fellow talent. And I didn't feel like it wouldn't be nice for Moji and I to join the team and then leave out Maybach, and Maybach is a good player,
Yeah.
So if tournament organizers can be a bit more lenient with their rules, it would help. But at the same time, I understand, because whenever we're playing against South Africans, there's always that moment where someone goes, "What?" Because he died. The kid has 9 ping to the server in, I don't know if it's in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And we're here in Nairobi, we're getting 70 ping. They have 9 times more time to react. So maybe that could also skew competitive games in the wrong way. So I don't know. Okay, Usama Welton says, together in Tex we shall grow to the top together. Tex is open to recruit players from any African country for any competitive game. Tex aims to turn Africa into one community, one Africa. Hey, Pan-African to the core. Nkrumah would be proud.
I have one thing to highlight on that note. I think in terms of 9 ping, I think you remember this player from Kenya that was called Cons.
Please don't say Aktadan.
No. Aktadan is a quack. If he's watching, he's a quack for real. How many years has players? But anyway, I love Aktadan. If he's watching, the thing was, Cons, I think if not the best player, could be one of the best. Just despite this and what that would frag out. Literally, he was so good at that. So and just to point out, he's one of the players that was frustrated because there was no team in South Africa that could pick him up. But he was a worthy player. He was really worthy. He was really good. And he was very, very competitive, yeah.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on to the next segment. So the name Meraki had kind of come up in the discussion before. And, well, what do you know? This week they're hosting the Meraki Major. I should say this week and next week they're hosting the Meraki Major. The games are already underway. So let's talk about it then, shall we? If I'm not wrong, they have a prize pool of 2,000 Rand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty substantial.
It's
What
huge. Yeah.
to you guys in South Africa is 2,000 rand a lot or a little?
I feel like for prize pool, that's quite a lot because recently, I think some of you saw the 80K tournament for the Rock League South African regions, and they had a 5K prize pool. And yes, that might be like quite large, but I feel like for like getting like 4th or 5th or 6th place, only getting 300 rand for a team, I feel like it's quite like not that much for if you're, because our team, we trained for like 2 weeks straight for that tournament and we only came out with about 100 rand between, like, for each of us.
Wow.
And I just feel like for putting in so much effort, you only come away with like tuck shop money basically.
I agree with you on that. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, anything, the money's not so much important as the community reveal. Like, I've been following Meraki for a while. Like, the first time I saw Meraki was actually in one of the Titan Gaming tournaments, and it was the full version team. And I mean, like, despite the ping and all that, they did really, really well. And I'm glad to see that Meraki's actually, coming in with the inclusivity of the entire community of Africa and Southern Africa. And like the fact that even if it's 2K, it's just 2K. At the end of the day, the fact is we're growing the community. We're making South Africa and Africa a better location for the esports community. At the end of the day, when you look at Africa, the African continent versus the rest of the world, no one really cares about us. We're not in the World Cup for Rainbow Six Siege, but a lot of unsupported server countries are in the league. So honestly, for me, prize pool, I don't care about it. The fact that Meraki actually took the next step and was like, okay, cool, we're gonna have a Meraki major and we're gonna have a kick-ass tournament. Like, for me, that's way more important than any money.
And also the community growth for like 20 teams for PC, 20 teams for PS4.
Yeah.
The amount of growth you can get for lower level teams who might like you were talking earlier how like high level teams might not want to like scrim low level teams because they're like low level, they're not up to the tier. And then like you might get those underdog stories who actually beat the high level teams. That will actually like boost them up, being like, we didn't want to scrim them, but oh wow, look at this, they actually beat us. We might actually give them a try sometime, etc.
Definitely. I think that for a lot of people who are in esports, I mean, obviously the money is important. You need money to survive. We live in a society. But I feel like for a lot of people, like you said, oLympiC, they put a lot of time and a lot of hours and effort and passion into the game. Not purely because they're trying to win the prize pool, but because they just love what they do so much and they're really passionate about improving and getting better. And as we've said, the opportunity that Meraki have given some of these teams to, show themselves off, show their skill off, exposure and get experience in the competitive world is worth more than any amount of rand. Well, maybe not any, but it's worth more than it's worth more than 2,000 rand to get the experience under your belt. And like we said, there are 40 teams. I have to give it up to Meraki for organizing a tournament where they have that large a number of teams, and they're on PC and PS4 as well.
No, I agree. Like, honestly.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Honestly, I really commend Meraki. Like when I had the last tournament I organized with Titan, we had less than 20 teams, and I was putting the hair out of my head. I'm not gonna lie, it was so difficult and frustrating. The fact that Meraki is handling 40 teams across 2 different platforms. What the amount of stuff that they did is honestly, it's commendable. They need a trophy, if you ask me. Like, I cannot imagine how much hair they're putting out of their heads compared to ours.
And the production that's gone into the major is just subpar.
It's amazing.
That is something else. That is something else, man. I was watching them do the pool draw live on their Twitch.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful.
It was so good.
I'm a simple man. I see pretty colors and cool animations I like.
You're done.
Yeah,
Um,
and I feel
yeah.
like so far they're living up to my expectations because in one of their posters they had said it's going to be professionally produced and casted, and in my mind I was like, I wonder what that means. I really want to see what that's going to look like. And so far it's
Yeah.
looking good. It's looking absolutely amazing. Even the people running their socials on Twitter with like the graphic design with the banners, they're doing an amazing job. I have to give it up to whoever it is on the back
Yeah.
end who's coordinating everything. Okay, so MojAE. Um, it was
What?
the 12th of September, and we were in WhatsApp and was saying we have like 3 days until they announce the pools, and we haven't even put in a single bit of practice.
Oh yeah.
That was
Oh,
when
thi-
Simba Ultimate was still a thing, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like things were so bad at the time because we were trying to raffle up and try and get a player because we've already registered, and we had some players at the time. We had like 6 of them. Then apparently 3 just happened to drop out. So we're there left wondering what to do next.
That's tough,
And
man. That's tough.
Yeah,
And
it was chaotic.
we had to forfeit our spot in the Meraki
Yeah.
major, unfortunately, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was painful.
So
I saw that, but disappointed.
So I mean, it happened the way it did, and at some point we'll just go back to what we were talking about before, about rank and all. At some point, we were considering playing with one player from South Africa. Moji, I'll not mention him by name, but you know who I'm talking about. He's
Yes.
ranked somewhere in gold 2, I think. He
Two,
hits
yes,
plat
two.
sometimes, I think. But the
and
thing
three.
is, when we play with him,
The thing was we tried out with him.
yeah,
Simba.
credit to
And-
us, we did give him tryouts. It just wasn't working out.
And to be honest, I think I'd agree with oLympiC and Kardecus on this. Like, chemistry is a really important thing because we noticed like there's something that is not going well. But the thing was, the way we saw him play and the rank that he had, we were there like, okay, is this okay? We're like he's gold 2, and we're like in what was it? Was it silver or bronze at the time?
Silver. When Silver
Yeah,
somewhere.
and we're wondering like, okay, is it are we the ones playing this game wrong, or what are we seeing? Because the mistakes that he was making were so massive that and credit to say I respect the player wholeheartedly. I love him very much, but the thing was he was making such bad mistakes that it makes you wonder like, does rank and stats really matter at this point? Like that really made me question it so much.
Aside from that, the coordination just wasn't, the chemistry wasn't there because
Yes.
he was the kind of person to kind of micromanage the whole team.
He was, yeah, because the thing was he's supposed to join it in a certain capacity, but all
Yeah.
of a sudden he's become the IGL. He's self-nominated himself as the IGL. So we were there wondering like, okay, what's going on here? it was weird. It was very weird. So I had to explain to him like his role. Did it very nicely and all, but he's a good player, but I think things just didn't work out very well. Like everything was just so off. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so going back to the Meraki Major, so the pool stages are underway. I don't think they're being broadcasted though. I think they'll start broadcasting from the elimination stages.
Yeah.
And as of today, we're going to take a look at the standings. So on screen right now, this Photos app takes a while to load. But okay, there we have it. Let me share my screen to my fellow guests so that you can see it as well. Okay, there we go. You should be able to see the group standings for PC. in the ongoing Meraki major. So, what are you guys' thoughts so far? First of all, let's talk about the pools. Let's talk about how the pools were constituted,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about how they're doing.
True. Okay, that's for anyone who wants to start out. Floor is open. I feel like I should say something.
Mhm.
I think initially when we started out, and I was watching the live stream, I don't know if they said Pool B or C is the group of death. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was watching the
But-
stream, and they were saying that they were saying Skrill missed out on being put in the pool of death, and I don't know which pool they're
Yes.
referring to.
Yes.
So
But
okay, Kardecus, since you're more, I would guess you're more aware and you're more familiar with these South African teams. Could you tell us like which is the toughest pool?
That's a tough call. There's definitely a lot of very strong teams. I
Good
mean,
team,
Meraki Gaming's going 4-0. Like Meraki's doing great. Ladin's also in 4A, and they're also a fantastic team. I mean, Pool C is Titan Odyssey. They're my boys. Lekker boys are also going 4-0. Omnius as well. I mean, Omnius is out of siege for a little bit, but I mean, they're seriously killing it, in my opinion. But I mean, Ladin Velocity. I saw Ladin Velocity play against my B team the other day. Ladin Velocity is definitely gonna make some movements. Definitely strong. I mean, everyone knows Momentum already. They are. They're scary.
They're cracked.
But honestly, I would say the pool of death has gotta be Pool D. 80k.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You wrote 80k. You might as well just say GT in the beginning of the game. And from what 80k was saying from their post-match report, Regicide is
Regicide,
not
yes.
a team to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
The Regicide is scary.
True,
And
yeah.
ADG, I'm curious about. Like, I know ADG Gaming's 80, and they're very well put together, and they're very well formed teams. I'm very interested. So I definitely think that Aurora is definitely going to have something going there. So in my opinion, Pool D is definitely the pool of death.
Pool of death.
Like, avoid that at all costs.
I think
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. But yeah,
Mhm.
that sums everything up very well.
I was looking at these standings, and in Pool A, there's Simba Ultimate that has won one game. I was wondering
that-
what that's about.
Yeah, I think they meant that to be like matches played, but apparently I don't know what happened. Is that matches played or points?
I have no idea.
It's confusing. Yeah,
I have no idea.
it's very confusing.
But yeah, man, Meraki have put together, I would say, the best teams in South Africa. Siege. It's going to be interesting to watch how they play.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, of course.
absolutely.
Like Kardecus said, yeah, Pool D is the team names there are the teams that I'm most familiar with. I know Regicide are hot. I know Memento Mori are also cracked. 80k and Ladon, but for the other teams, I don't really know. I'm so curious to see how it plays out. Okay. For the sake of completeness, we'll take a look at the PS4 group standings as well. Okay, just give me a sec to launch this.
I'm actually curious about the PS4 because I just know of one or two teams that are really good, but like I need that like familiarity. Like what are guys saying online or out there? Yeah. Like especially on Twitter, like a lot of the discussions are more on like the PC side,
Yeah.
but PS4 is relatively quiet. So yeah, I think someone should just come and like give us some eye openers.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm not familiar with PS4 Siege esports at all, but I would be more than happy to welcome anyone from any of these teams to give us insight into that world. Have any of you ever played Siege on any console?
I started on Xbox, yeah.
I started on PS4.
I've played it a bit on PS4. It's,
Mhm.
it's it's quite the experience. I find it very
It's interesting.
yeah. It makes me really wonder, like, how are you guys able to play on like a gamepad? It's
Yeah. Okay, my Discord decided to restart for whatever reason, but it's back. Hey. Okay, I don't know what the hell happened. My Discord just dropped me.
This was funny today.
But I'm back. I'm back. So,
okay.
I mean, yeah, Siege on console is something else. And in fact, one of the people we were potentially trying to get onto our Tex clan says he's been playing on PC for only like 6 months. And then when I ask about the transition from console to PC, he says it's just worlds apart.
Ugh, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But I can definitely say that the PS4 gameplay, it's honestly for me, it's difficult. Like PC is definitely difficult in its own right, but PS4, it's an interesting game on PS4, definitely.
Okay, Ducky R6 says no. Simba Ultimate got a bye against Dark Eye. I have no idea what that means. Aldo says
I
every
think-
team has a bye and it counts as a win for some reason. What does that mean?
So forfeit.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, then why is it counted as a win? That's strange.
It's uh-huh.
If a team doesn't pitch for the match, then you contact the admin, and then the admin just checks the team is just not there, and they're like, okay, cool, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so looking again at the PC group standings, it's time for the tough questions. What are you guys' predictions?
For the guys that who's going to
Let's
leave out of the booth?
Let's do like who's going to make it out of each pool.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
You already know I've got to back my boys at Meraki.
I'm gonna back Titan Odyssey. Can't say no to them.
Those two votes are invalid because they're so skewed.
We already know we have to back 80k. 80k is just
Oh yeah.
different.
So Odyssey's been gunning for that number 1 South Africa ranker at the moment, and I really don't blame them.
I don't know. I mean, all these teams are really, really good. It's kind of difficult to say who's going to make it out of each pool. Except, if you talk of 80k, they're kind of like a legend at this point. So I mean, I have to assume that there are high hopes and high expectations on them, and this is another part that's not about KD being able to keep cool and keep a cool head under all that pressure is it's part of one of the many things that makes you a great team. Yeah, like imagine the kind of firefighting the IGL on 80k has to do to keep everyone level-headed when the tensions are getting high. It's like in the semis or it's in the finals.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though, I'm really interested to see Titan Odyssey walk out of this. Meraki, 80k, Regicide, and Lost in Memento. I'm definitely interested to see how what these teams can actually bring forward at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And of course, because I'm affiliated with Vanguard Esports League, I'll be I'll be supporting Vanguard Gaming.
Yeah.
The Charlies, they have come a long way. They have, let's say, they've got a lot of time to improve on how they play, and I feel like they've become a better team. So I'm hoping to see them performing better in this Meraki major. Okay, I assume this is Ace who's in the chat. Hi, what's up, man? What's up? It says apparently on console, when you reach a certain elo, you start facing people who use keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Oh no! What?
Yeah, it's the thing.
That's a really big thing that happens in Siege.
Oh my god!
It's a huge issue.
Wow.
Oh,
That's terrible, man.
yeah.
And there's also
yeah.
a lot of PS4 SA players who get, like, if a team loses, they just blame it on, like, keyboard and mouse, even though, like, say a team isn't using it.
And I was still playing PS4. Half the times a player was reported was because he was using M and K. Like, sometimes it's true, yes. I mean, there's a lot of M and K players on PS4, but other times, like, this is just a very, very poor excuse for the fact that you didn't perform.
I consider that to be cheating, and I think the terms of service, I'm not sure. I think the terms of service also consider that to be cheating.
Yeah.
Because you're using hardware that's not native to that platform to get an advantage over all the other people who are using controllers.
Yeah.
I feel like those people it's what Ducky said. He said, let me find it. Is it those people that do not play should not even consider comp play when they cannot even play ranked, let it be ZA ranked, E or whatever. So he was talking about the people who play ranked, they get their placement and then they bounce. They're in the same category of people who use keyboard and mouse, because it's like why does rank mean that much to you? At the end of the day, it's only a game. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, SBot says, I think that Regicide will provide the most interesting gameplay. I think the frag potential of that team will take them really far. Do you guys agree? I mean, I don't know. I've never seen Regicide playing, but I know they're a pretty good team.
No, all I know is from what ATK told me, and from what told me, they are definitely going to have a lot of potential for them in the future.
Awesome. So let's move on then. Let's move on and talk about more stuff that's happening in Rainbow Six Siege in the African scene. So Vanguard Esports League was conducting a giveaway for 500 Rand, and it just got concluded. So congratulations to, I believe it's called the Liam. What is not the Liam you're thinking of?
I'm wondering if it is.
Let me find. I want to give him his credits and his congratulations for winning the giveaway. The whole point of the giveaway was to kind of, well, obviously it was to get more followers. Let's be honest, but it was also to incentivize people to talk about Rainbow Six esports, to grow the community, and I think that's what a lot of us are doing right now in esports. We're just trying to grow the community as much as we can.
Yeah.
Oh, and this actually reminds me of a really good question that someone had suggested we should talk about. What do you think we can continue to do in your capacities and as the community in general to improve Siege esports? I'll start with oLympiC. What do you think?
I feel like everyone shouldn't be at everyone's neck. Like, over Twitter, there's like one team didn't have, like recently one team didn't have a person who was like registered to the site or had a second account, and it's just like, people just like, if we want to grow the community, we can't like kill the community from within, if you get what I'm saying. Like, like I'm known mostly in the Rocket League scene, like from my years like earlier, as like a toxic person or like someone you shouldn't play with. But I feel like and trying to get that reputation away is quite hard. But also like the community should just try and grow as a person. You just shouldn't be a dick to anyone. Like, if someone's trying to be toxic, ignore that and play at your pace and improve and show them that you're better than what they're saying.
Definitely. Kardecus?
I totally agree with oLympiC. You know, at the end of the day, we're so busy bickering amongst ourselves that we actually don't see the bigger picture. You know, like we're so busy maybe having these petty squabbles. Like, I'm not gonna lie, you know, as obviously the esports division head, I have to deal with a lot of player problems among the teams, you know? And a lot of the time when I hear these problems, it's like, but why are you fighting? This isn't an issue. This is something minor, something very so small that you shouldn't be getting worked up about it. And those are just the minor things, you know, compared to like how the teams will fight amongst each other about, rather against each other. Or, you know, like they'll just completely just tear each other limb from limb. And I raise the question, what was the reason for that? To what goal do you hope to achieve by doing that? You know, like, is this worth it in the end to make enemies and lose friends and just fragment this great community so much?
Yeah.
MojAE, do you have anything to say on what we can do to improve and to grow the community?
I think I would pretty much say the same thing Kardecus has said. I think, and this is practically like a problem within not just the community but also competitively. There's this sense of man eat man society. I don't know if you've seen it a lot, and it's a thing. It's like a thing that actually happens.
Do you have a specific example?
Like people are so hell-bent on tearing each other down. Like, especially, let's say when you get into siege ranked. I think we've had this whole talk of like South Africa has to be the most toxic region.
Oh, don't remind me about that tweet.
Like and I think, so to speak, there is a guy who actually started that debate, and apparently he was a competitive player, by the way. He was a competitive player. It was so sad. I'm sure some people would know who that person is. He played, I think, 1, 2, or 3 games, and then he was completely done. Like, he had enough. Just because of the toxicity. It was just too much.
Wow. I remember someone tweeting that, I'm sorry to say this, but SA is the most toxic siege community. And then there was like a lot of drama last week on that tweet because he apparently was blocking everyone who disagrees with him or anyone who has a contrary opinion to that. And then he came later to tweet update. Oh, I entered 3 games and in each of them I was TK'd.
Yes.
And it's like negativity breeds negativity, you know?
Yeah. It does.
I feel like I agree with you guys. Love. Let's just spread more love. There's no need for all of us to be fighting against each other.
Yeah.
When instead we could be growing the scene so that everyone eats. There's enough bread for everyone.
Yes, exactly. And just to point that, I think the whole aim for like bringing the servers here is actually not just to encourage people to like play the game, those who used to play in EU and whatnot, but also to bring more people from around this region to play in the servers.
Yeah.
It should reduce our biggest problem, one of our biggest problems, which is queue times. Like, it takes so long to get a ranked game, let alone a casual game. It takes so long. And the best way we can do it actually is to be friendly to other people that actually are trying to enter into the scene or the game itself. But once they find a community that is highly toxic, highly abrasive, it makes it much more worse to even play the game, let alone just interact with the community itself. Guys just decide, okay, it looks like this community doesn't like me, so I'll just go to another game which will accept me for the way I am. So
in our conversation with Food online, one of their tweets went something like, so do you want to lose your rank if you don't have good stats? How the hell do you okay, they didn't say how the hell, they said how do you expect to be picked up by a team? And I looked at that and I was like, You could have phrased that slightly better, given that you're tweeting from. You're
The
tweeting as food
organization's
esports. Yeah, you're
handle,
tweeting.
yeah.
And my opinion was, whoa, that's not the attitude or tone to talk to people if you're interested in getting people to sign up for your team. You know?
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
they were like. They were condescending. Let me say that.
Yeah. It was. It's very unprofessional, especially from like a clan or an org to say such stuff, especially on social media. Like whatever goes out there, especially online, you can't take it back. Like it's already out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Before we move on to the next little segment, I'll just read what people are talking about. Okay, let's see. He says, Ace says, I think we need to hold more accessible tournaments and advertise them more. They're few and far in between. This is mostly a Kenyan focused perspective. I partially agree with you because, I mean, Meraki have done some good marketing on this major, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing it on PC and PS4 as well, so I feel like they're making it as accessible as it can be, man. But at the same time, I feel like there aren't that many tournaments going on. Shout out to Thousand Lions who are doing the Face It R6ZA, because that's also encouraging people to play competitively. I feel like it gives people, I don't know, the people who are so worried about their rank, I feel like it gives them a chance to play competitively without having to worry about their ranks.
Yeah.
But we were talking about Vanguard Esports League. Next month we will be hosting a tournament of our own, sponsored by New Human, and registrations are ongoing. So I feel like just recently I got into this Rainbow Six and the esports scene in general in South Africa rather recently, but I feel like it has been more active than it has been in the past, and we're definitely doing more to hold more tournaments and to make the game more accessible to everyone. Because I don't know about you guys, but I only ever knew of Metal State. I didn't know about Meraki, I didn't know about Titan.
Oh yeah. Like it kind of reminds me of back in the day when we used to play on EU and there were no like ZA servers.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the days of Pagu when there was literally no siege tournament whatsoever. Like we literally had to do this from the ground, like from the community. Tell everyone to help out in terms of like coordination and moderation of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And it went well. Just despite the ping, it went so well, which was amazing. So us looking back and seeing all these tournaments, it's overwhelming, and it's one of the best things the community needed or deserved, if I should say so.
True.
Yeah. So I have to credit the community for that. That's like you guys are the goods.
Yeah, Kardecus, since you've been in the admin role for a bit, you've been kind of more involved in esports than I have. Could you, I don't know, from your perspective, what's the history been like? Is it more active now? What was it like in the past?
Oh, it's definitely been a lot more active now, I'd say, since the servers got dropped in South Africa. So we've been waiting, 4 or 5 years for these servers.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that happened, like, more teams appeared by far,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of tournaments and orgs who never thought about having tournaments decided, like, no, let's go for it. I mean, Titan Gaming, we did, like, that was our biggest opening statement, was our Titan 10K tournaments, and we put in some of the best teams in South Africa. We got some great PR for everyone, and the same for the Meraki major. They came out of their shell and like, look at us. We've got this. We're gonna flex to the rest of the world that we can handle this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's definitely becoming a trend in South Africa now. Is that since we got the servers, we realized we've got the potential, and that we can actually, while we don't have to join the rest of the world in their pro leagues, Guys like Susan Lyons, like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get contracts signed. Let's get people on board. Let's start tournaments. Let's actually get the community to actually realize that the game is beyond just ranked and competitive. And hearing about like the CS:GO tournaments of VS Gaming and Middleton, what they're doing with their tournaments and all that stuff. You know, like now that we've got our servers, we can actually realize that we don't have to wait on the rest of the world to dictate to us when we can actually have tournaments, how they should be run or watch, or how they should be included. And we can actually now say, look, what? We've got the resource, we've got the motivation, we've waited 4 or 5 years for this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
For sure. oLympiC, what's the Rocket League scene like?
We got like servers, I'd say a year or 2 ago.
Wow, so you guys have been waiting as well, huh?
Yeah, game's like what, 5 years old, and we got servers 2 years now.
Oh, the struggle, the struggle of being an African gamer, man. I feel
The
you.
way I got into the South African scene was I was on YouTube one day and I saw this thing called, it was like South African 6v6 private lobbies, and like it had like maybe 5 views, and I saw there was just a bunch of South African people playing Rocket League together, and I was like, this is so cool, I want to try and get into this. And now we have teams sponsored by Orlando Pirates, XE, Meraki, even, and it's just like the game has still got so much to grow, because on the 23rd, Rocket League actually goes free to play, which I feel like it's going to bring in so much more South Africans to the scene. And it's just amazing, I feel like.
Definitely.
That's next week, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We're actually kind of almost done. I didn't have too much content for this episode.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about this season.
We'll get to it right after I mention. We've been talking about growing the community and growing the scene, and I'm just glad that every time I'm on Twitter I see like a new Siege roster has been formed, or someone is doing something in esports in Africa. It's heartwarming, to say the least. And just today, while I was preparing for this episode, I saw that early access so it's supposed to say early access, but it's access an axe used to chop wood. Early access announced that they have a tournament, and let me just get this correct. I think it's PC, PS4, and Xbox, something like that. It's a Siege tournament.
I think the one thing I wanted to confirm, because early access was very popular for the league format, if you know what I mean, like they used to use the Swiss format style tournaments, which takes weeks. It takes a very long time. So like how they were able to engage like teams to actually keep playing their matches and still remind people like we are still here. That's very difficult, which I'd commend them for. Like they've managed to stay like alive for the longest time. I'll say so because I think I've been casting, I think, for when we were doing Pagu was like league based, and doing a league based setup is so difficult. It takes so much time. It requires so much resources to implement.
So on screen, and I've shared to you guys as well, is the announcement, and I was correct. They're doing a PC, Xbox, and PS4 Siege tournament. They say give COVID the finger and show it that 2020 has some fight left. Take on the best of the best in the last Siege tournament of the year. I'm super excited, man. There's a Meraki Major ongoing. There's going to be the Vanguard Esports League New Human Open next month, and then there's going to be early access. If you're a fan of Siege Esports in South Africa, there's a lot to look out for.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think just to note, I overheard that PSG, that's the local like the Kenyan events organizing company, they also want to do a Siege tournament, like an African wide one.
Wow.
So, yeah. It'll have a prize pool, so I think for those out to yeah, up for the money, that's also in there. Yeah,
That's also quite exciting.
yeah, that's amazing.
It's amazing. I love to see this kind of growth, and I mean, it's got to catch someone's eye at some point. At some point, Ubisoft has to see that we have something to show.
Yeah, I also like to commend the R6 Africa guys. Like they're doing so much, like a really good job in like giving the tournaments, the teams, the organizations the limelight. Like trying to talk about the activities that they're doing, the events that are going on. Like someone who can actually put their time and effort to doing that. I'd really commend them for that. Those guys are doing a really good job. Like it's helping everyone as a whole and the whole industry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move on to the new season in Siege, Operation Shadow Legacy. First impressions.
Oof. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super excited for this new season.
I mean, let's hear it. Have you played much of it?
I played a little bit here and there. Playing a little bit of Faceit, a little bit of the casuals, a little bit of the ranked with the Titan boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely excited to see how the new meta is now changing. Because they've now completely thrown the meta on its head. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too excited about Zero because I can't play him in competitive.
Yeah.
So if he's available, I'll reconsider him. But I'm really excited with the fact that they're now bringing in, they're now completely annihilating the running gun meta, and then now making Siege a bit more methodical and just take a new perspective on things. Before Siege was very much like, okay, no about the reinforced walls. Okay, cool, we gotta throw much, we gotta hit Barna. It's fine, don't worry about them. Like, we'll get the wall and just get the kills.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's like, okay, there's so much to now consider. There's new scopes, there's new ops, there's new. There's actually now the hard breach device, which is going to definitely make the fact that you need is guaranteed to have a hard breach on the enemy team now impossible to predict. Like maybe there's a lie, maybe there's a Monty, there's Capital with the hard breach charge instead that can be acting as a diversion, for like a bandit trap. It's like things are definitely changing this season, and I'm actually so excited to see how the game's now playing. And I also playing with MojAE this morning, right? I added an angled grip, an extended barrel, and then about a 1.5 zoom scope on the P10 Ronnie. And a gun that was so underrated and operator that was so just unappreciated for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I was just getting headshots left, right, and center.
Wow. So it definitely sounds like you're having a lot of fun and a lot of excitement with the new season.
Oh, definitely. I'm really loving this new season, honestly.
MojAE, on the other hand, I don't think you can say the same. You've been running into the sound bug a lot more often than the rest of us, huh? MojAE, hello?
Hello? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, not having the best of seasons. Like, the sound bug has been a song up and about everywhere. Like, this is the same thing I keep hearing. So the first time I encountered it, I thought maybe it's my game or it's just me. But when I see the pro players from other regions also complaining about it, I'm like, okay, there's a problem here. And you can imagine, especially like in esports setting, if a bug like that comes about, the number of rehosts that have to be done will be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to
So,
be sick.
yes. So, and I at least for like our region, it's much more understandable because you can be able to negotiate with the other team or maybe the administrators or the observers
Mm-hmm.
to rehost a game.
Mm-hmm.
But on like global, something that's has a large number of viewers, like either the EU Pro League or the NA Pro League, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing a rehost, there's so much that has to be done that it it obscures and it messes up, the arrangements of many of the things that they've planned. The teams are themselves together with like the production and all that. Then at the same time, also notice that when such bugs start showing up, it tends to like change the mentality of a team that has high expectations to win. When one player encounters that bug, say like one, or then one player is maybe manageable, but when it's 2, 3, 4 players on one team,
if
now
they
that
all
is bad.
if they all start
Yeah.
tilting, then it's not
Yeah,
fun
the,
to
like-
play in that environment.
Yeah, it completely ruins the plan the team has to actually win that game in particular.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like the team morale is just gone, completely gone.
True.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's easier to rehost here
Yeah.
in our local scene, but as someone who's been on the back end as a caster, as a spectator, rehosts are the worst. They take so much time. They make what would have been a 3-hour stream something like 4.5 hours. It's not fun at all.
Yeah.
Personally, I haven't encountered the sound bug, the one where your left and right sounds are reversed. And apparently it happens when you alt tab, so don't alt tab if you don't need to.
I heard a lot of people actually saying that you should restart your game and it should fix that, but apparently that also doesn't fix the problem.
Wow. But then,
Yeah, so
like if you're 4-3 overtime match point, do you want to be restarting your game?
Exactly. And just
Your-
restart the
your
game,
team
then you
goes
encounter
in-
the same bug.
Yeah, your team goes into the last round 4 versus 5. It's not fun, and
It's
I get people's frustrations because I thought this bug came only last season, but apparently people are saying it's been around for a while.
It has.
And
has.
it was in the test server and it hasn't still been fixed. I don't know why, man. Ubisoft kind of have a name for themselves where when they introduce one new thing, it comes with like 10 bugs.
The problem is not supposed to train on the Switch. They say that they have to completely unpack the code and repack it, and there's actually a full thorough investigation that actually taken into actually identifying what's causing the bug, why, and how to eliminate it. Like honestly, like MojAE, know exactly how you feel, bro. Like I also counted Saab like a couple times this season, and like quite a few times last season, and this season, and the time before that, or at least new guys who were having the issue. So it's definitely a nightmare, especially when it's the sound and you can't actually focus because your brain doesn't tell you like, okay, it's actually on the right, it's not the left.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so disorienting to hear a sound coming from the right side and to see
Yeah.
an enemy coming from the left. It throws you off so much. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
oLympiC, I don't know if you say you play some Siege, but mostly you're on Rocket League. So I don't know if you've come back this season.
I noticed one sound bug where like the whole lobby couldn't hear guns shooting, enemies walking. I don't know if that's the sound bug you're talking about, but I haven't really noticed anything. I've got like 50 hours in the game, so this is like quite a topic that I'm just gonna stay quiet. Let the people who played the game talk.
Oh, okay. Well, what usually happens is when a season is released, all the people who had kind of like stopped playing, or maybe all the new players to Siege, jump on, and then the numbers go up, and there's a large number of people concurrently playing the game. So I was thinking you're one of those people who'd come back with the new season.
I've just been playing the game, trying to get up to like that rank level just to see how I am, because on like Xbox I played for 2 weeks and I think I got like gold or something. So I just want to see how I compare to on PC, just to like see if I can do well, or if like Rocket League isn't something I can take forward. Just.
Yeah, okay. Great. Sam Fisher. I refuse to call him Zero. I think Everyone knows him as Sam Fisher.
Yeah.
I
Even when you give call-outs, like you have to call Sam Fisher, not Zero.
Just make that sting. I want to hear
Yeah.
that now.
I've,
Use Zero.
Oh.
I've been in games where people ban the new operator. Like, why would you ban Sam Fisher? That's being such.
Yeah,
That's kind
It's
of
'cause
being
they
a
know-
prick, in my opinion.
it is. It is.
To be fair, Sam Fisher now has an MP7 with the 1.5, I think. So that's pretty dangerous, you know. I mean, we've all seen Banner with the MP7 and what the damage that he can do.
Yeah.
Even with like the reflex or red dot or whatever you use, that thing shreds.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
nuts.
Exactly.
But his other weapon as well is also pretty decent, yeah?
Yeah, and it's got a lot of scopes. In fact, I think it's got all the new scopes.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It does.
Like, you know what? Let's like take this one gun and just give it everything.
He's Sam Fisher, he needs
Just 10
everything.
scopes, go.
Yeah,
He's Sam Fisher, he needs everything.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah.
another really interesting thing I'm enjoying about this new season is the map bans.
Ooh,
The map bans are basically a blessing for me. The only thing is, if you run into a selection of Consulate, Canal, and Outback, then it's all over for you. It's all over for
Outback
you.
being at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. And the map bans are pretty cool though. I'll definitely
Oh,
say that.
best thing to happen.
Hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk about this as well. The direction of this game, I feel like it tends to listen more to the professional and the more competitive side. Like over the years, ranked has gotten closer and closer to looking like competitive. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the community is on a consensus that the developers tend to listen more to the pros and less to the casual side. Is that so?
Personally,
Well-
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, because like map bans it's not exactly the same in the competitive scene, but in the competitive scene you're able to say which map you want to play and which one you don't from the entire map pool. So bringing something like that to ranked, I feel like it's a good thing. It's a quality of life improvement. Where do
Yeah,
you
I
guys
agree.
stand on that debate? Because people say like majority of people play this game casually. Majority of people are on console. Majority of people play Siege are on console and they play it more casually. So if the devs kind of take the opinions of the pros more seriously than they do of the casuals, then I don't know, it kind of tips the balance one way. What do you guys think?
Also, I'm curious to hear their 2 cents. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. MojAE? MojAE, are you there?
More-
Not again.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. What was the question?
Where do you sit on the debate of whether the devs should listen to the more professional side or the more casual side of the game?
I think they should listen to both, but to a certain degree, because irrespective of who's more important than the other, I think they are all consumers of the same product. So they need to employ a way that can be able to cater for both of them, but at the same time also take note that you can't always please everyone. You have to find a middle ground for both of them to coexist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think that about does it. Unless you guys have any topic, anything specific that's really itching that you'd like to say, I'm basically done.
I'm actually curious to see what the comment section actually has to say about what we're discussing.
Okay then. I guess that does it then. Thank
Sweet.
you everyone.
Thank
MojAE,
you.
oLympic and Kardecus.
Thank
Thank you so much
Anytime,
Thank you.
for
anytime.
coming on.
It was really awesome to
Pleasure,
be here.
pleasure,
Thank you, man.
pleasure.
I appreciate your contributions. I think your thoughts are. I place a lot of value in your thoughts, and that's exactly why I invited you here. Thank you for making this possible. I would like to say thank you to everyone who has been watching. If you've been with us from the beginning, I really appreciate you. I thank you so much for your attention. Thank you to everyone who contributed to the conversation. The conversation will continue whether rank matters at all or not, and all the other things we've been talking about on all our socials. Speaking of, do you guys want to plug your social media? Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you, oLympic?
Just message me on oLympic RL_MRK, or just message me on there. If not, you can just get my Discord. I'll put my Discord in the comment section, and then yeah.
Awesome. MojAE, talk to the people. Where can they reach out to you, and where can they find you?
Okay. Twitter, Twitch. I think like all the social medias. My name is just James Carano. You'll be able to find me there. I'm the biggest noisemaker around, so yeah.
You definitely ruffled some feathers, that's for sure. Okay, lastly, Kardecus.
Alright, you can either find me on Twitter. It's at Kardecus, Kardecus. Pretty easy. Otherwise, you can find me on Discord, either in the Tyson Gaming Discord or just in general. I'll post my Discord name in the chat in the comment section.
Alright, thank you everyone. Cheers, I don't have much to say.
Have a good one.
Yeah, see you everyone. Thank you.
Cheers.